Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. We have made it. This is now episode 6, and I believe that this review won't be too painful. So let's not waste too much time in ripping this episode apart. So the episode opens up with Harry, and I'll be honest, when I first saw it, it made me think of, especially when he was talking about this freedom flight. What I find humorous about this is that he doesn't look like he's on a private jet, but it literally looks like he's on a boat escaping Syria as a refugee. But on a more serious note, I think he was so stupid in using the term freedom flight because he is making fun or light of people who actually flee for their lives on a daily basis from areas of where there's war, there's violence, there's poverty, starvation. And here he is acting like he's fleeing for his life from Canada to Los Angeles because his wife let the paparazzis know where they were staying in Vancouver. Get out of here. You can't make this up. So this diehard climate change activist shows us around this private jet that him, the wife, and Doria are flying on. The absurdity of this is just so bewildering.
I just knew the stress that they were under. It felt like they were running.
Now, when I hear Doria saying that, I almost feel like she's had some type of experience in that capacity. Like, what were they running from? The feds? So next, Tyler Perry comes into frame and he talks about how he knew about the plight that Meghan was having because one night Meghan called him and started crying to him, pulling on the heartstrings of Tyler Perry. And, rest is history. He's the one that supplied the jet for them to fly over. He's the one that then put them up in his mega mansion. I'm going to cut Tyler Perry some slack here on this one because remember, this all happened in 2020. And at that time, when the Harkles were fleeing for their lives from the abusive UK, nobody knew in the United States what was really the truth. All we saw was what the media that Meghan pushed out was her truth. So yeah, many people did think that the royal family was cold, they were heartless, they treated her bad, and Tyler Perry came to the rescue because they manipulated him. So next, the Harkles go to visit Tyler Perry and are walking the grounds of the estate. And what I find really odd is this story that Harry tells.
Would be up here, Archie sort of like with our hand walking along here, the dogs running around.
I find this highly suspect or bad parenting. Why would you bring your 10, 11-month-old to the edge of that hill and allow him to walk along the edge? That makes no sense to me. And to me, I think that that's almost endangering your child's safety. Something else that I noticed is that in some of these clips, you see Meghan and Harry, well, mostly Meghan, with a wine glass. It does look like she is somewhat, how do I put this politely? Buzzing, stoned, maybe? They are making a cake. Not sure if that's the cake that they're making for Archie, but they are making a cake. So after this cake, next they jump to this photo, which appears to be celebrating Archie's first birthday. But let's talk about what's wrong with this picture. I truly feel sorry for this kid. This is supposed to be Archie's birthday. But if you notice in this picture, the one picture that Meghan chooses to put up here shows that none of the adults in the photo are paying attention to the boy when it's his day. It looks like Meghan was throwing confetti onto Harry and ignoring the child. Is it me or do these three look like they're high? Listen to them talk on Archie's birthday.
It's gorgeous out.
And it's not our home, but we're grateful.
But there's a world in which it could be our home.
Wait, what? That is definitely not what Drunk on Love looks like. So if you've been watching this review series that I've been doing on this mockumentary, you notice that everything is so disjointed, and the way that they're telling this story is very manipulative. It appears that a lot of the footage that was taken came from the same day, because what we're seeing is Meghan wearing the same clothes and playing out in various scenes as if this is happening over the course of time.
I am writing more things to battle the mail.
and their insanity.
It appeared that Meghan was more upset that the Mail Online was making money off of her than the actual court case itself, challenging her bullshit argument of this being about privacy. This last episode was all smoke and mirrors. This is all to cover up their tracks around the court case, the lies surrounding the miscarriage, and the lies surrounding Lilibet. We're going to go out of order for a second so this can make sense. Later in the episode, Harry makes this statement and accuses the Mail Online of,
I believe my wife suffered a miscarriage because of what the Mail did. I watched the whole thing.
Meghan wants you to believe that this court case was driven by the Mail on Sunday because they wanted clicks and to make money. Okay?
Let's create an entire tab on our homepage with her name and just run constant stuff on this litigation and twist and turn things to create an implant with members of the public.
Meghan, just shut up. Please, just shut up.
That's all this is about. Just apologize and don't do it again. It's really that simple. But instead it's like, or let's make a fortune.
Let me refresh everybody's memories. And for those that don't know, here's a little bit of education on how this court case went down. So in October of 2019, it was Meghan who raised the argument to sue the Mail Online for this letter situation.
That's all this is about. Just apologize and don't do it again.
Well, that's funny. The money-hungry D-list actress forgot to ask for the apology in her claimant claims. Instead, she was only asking for money, such as damages, other compensation, covering the costs of her legal fees. I mean, pain and suffering. I don't see asking for an apology anywhere. So let's throw that lie out the window. Next.
Defense says, we'd like disclosure from you. We need to access your email and your phone for this case based on these terms. I love you. Archie. Kate. William.
Africa.
Africa.
Why is she acting like she's hearing voices in her head? Does she not realize how stupid she looks?
Sorry, what? What does that have to do with this lawsuit?
Well, Meghan, aside from you pulling this out of your ass, let me remind you of what really happened. For a person who insists that she was the smart one, all of a sudden now she's playing dumb. So the defendant, which was the Mail Online, in their skeleton argument dated January 2021, keep that date in mind, in this document, the defendant, Mail Online, decides to lay out in chronological order the events that have taken place. So, in the initial submission, Meghan made allegations that she did not give substantiated evidence to back it. So, the Mail Online had requested via RFI, request for information, for her to provide that information. The argument that the Mail on Sunday had here was that they were alleging that Meghan gave the letter to People magazine. So back on June 30th, 2020, a third RFI was requested to ask her if she had given this letter to People, in which, of course, they came back denying it. And the reason why they asked that question was because there was a line in the article that came directly from the letter. So how would People magazine have quoted something that was from the letter if they weren't given the letter? And for those that don't remember, this is what happened.
For good, and they find one piece, and then it becomes this whole other thing.
If they were trying not to fool people, they would have highlighted instead the quoted sentence, which said, "Dad, I'm so heartbroken. I love you. I have one father. Please stop victimizing me through the media so we can repair our relationship." Now that was in the letter. Now they want your eyes fixated on she wrote him a letter and assume that that was all that was written about this letter and why it was taken out of context. So if Meghan's telling the truth, what's there to be stressed about? I mean, it's her lawsuit suing the Mail on Sunday. She could have easily backed out, but she didn't. And at this point, the Mail on Sunday is not making any traction. Their last resort was making a request to know the 5 friends who talked in that article. Unfortunately, they didn't get their way, and the judge denied it to keep their names private. The case was looking good for Meghan. At any point, she could have dropped out. But as we all know, that she has told the world that she had a miscarriage in the month of July 2020, When you're telling the truth, you really have nothing to worry about. So just as Meghan was thinking that she was going to get away with it, come August 2020, where Finding Freedom drops. And this is what pissed Meghan off, because it was the Mail on Sunday who decided to amend its case to rely on Meghan's involvement with the book, namely that Meghan and her husband cooperated with the authors to put out their version of events by the means of this book. The assertion further supports the case made in the original defense that Meghan had herself put information of a personal nature, including information about the existence and content of the letter, into the public domain. And that was the argument. Now, let's not forget that she had Omid Scobie and Jenny Afia write a witness statement saying that she had no involvement with this book. I guess perjury is not taken very seriously in the UK, and that even a barrister, I think that's what Jenny Afia is, or lawyer, is held accountable. So at this point, a lot of shucking and jiving had been going on with Meghan after she realizes that the defense may have additional information that could expose her, such as information from Jason Knopf.
I'm driving up just like, all right, we're going to unpack, we're going to get settled. And Meg is standing outside waiting for me because here's our new home. But she's like, I'm having a lot of pain.
Just to confirm, this is the month of July when they moved.
She was holding Archie and she just fell to the ground. And
The first morning that we woke up in our new home is when I miscarried.
The way that I interpret it, and assuming this is the way everybody else is interpreting it, is that that morning she miscarried. Abigail was there. They were supposed to unpack, and this is what happened. Okay. They quickly show Meghan typing, or somebody typing. This was the article that she wrote for the New York Times, The Losses We Share. So at this time, when they're talking about her writing this article, and everyone is talking about how brave she was to talk about it, and just right before that, Harry put the blame on the Daily Mail for putting so much stress on his wife that they were the ones that caused this miscarriage. And at this point, you forget about her friend Abigail. Shall we go down memory lane and read what the brave Duchess wrote? I'll just give you the first two paragraphs. It was a July morning that began as ordinarily as any other day. Make breakfast, feed the dogs, take vitamins, find that missing sock, pick up the rogue crayon that rolled under the table, throw my hair in a ponytail before getting my son from his crib. After changing his diaper, I felt a sharp cramp. I dropped to the floor with him in my arms, humming a lullaby to keep us both calm. The cheerful tune, a stark contrast to my sense that something was not right. I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. Putting aside that the rest of this article was bullshit, I thought Abigail was the one that saw you clutch your stomach with Archie and drop to the floor. Did I hear that right?
because here's our new home. But she's like, I'm having a lot of pain.
Wait a minute. I thought she was finding crayons that rolled under the table and picking up that sock.
She was holding Archie and she just fell to the ground. And
So you watched her drop to the floor singing a lullaby, holding her first child as she was losing her second? I wonder how much they paid her for this Oscar-worthy performance. Please. So now you understand why I believe that this miscarriage was a lie and it was used to buy some time for this court case. And as a result of Meghan and Harry's sloppiness in this mockumentary, they have now opened up more room for speculation surrounding the validity and truth around Lily's birth and conception. Now, as I have mentioned a few times now in the tactics and manipulation of this series, they did a doozy on the audience with this one. So let me explain what we're looking at. So here is Meghan. She's in bed somewhere, looking at her computer and working on the court case. And here's what she says.
To battle the Mail and their insanity.
So let's pay attention closely to what she's wearing. She's wearing a black hoodie with a specific type of logo on the front. She has her jewelry on, and most notably, she has that blood diamond pinky ring on from the Saudis.
They're saying this was all part of my strategy and tactic to have a better reputation.
Keep that little nugget of information in your back head for a moment. Keep that little nugget of information in the back of your head for just a moment. So right after this scene, they then distract the audience with more of their babbling. But then, a little bit later on, they show this scene.
My darling wife has just been sent the skeleton argument of the ridiculousness of the mail case.
So for those that don't know what a skeleton argument is for the UK, we don't have them here. I don't believe we do in our judicial system. But skeleton arguments are documents filed with the court and exchanged between the parties in advance of a court hearing. Now, for this situation, Meghan's looking at a skeleton argument. And here is where she's now going to get caught in a massive lie. So when this was going on, the skeleton argument that went out between the two parties was issued on January 14, 2021, in preparation for a court hearing on January 19, 2021. So what people need to understand is that this was a hearing so they could plead their case so the judge could move to summary judgment. This is something that Meghan now was pushing forward for because she realized that there's a lot of dirt on her that she possibly could be exposed for. And that's why now it shifted. So this actual hearing was bringing the Mail on Sunday and Meghan together to say, look, no, we need to go full on trial because there's a lot of skeletons in the closet that need to be outed. And this is what Meghan was fighting against. She now wanted to make this a quick done deal with the information that they already had so she could, let this kind of go now. But the Mail on Sunday was not having it. They were going full force now.
Archie wasn't even born when you guys published the letter that I wrote to my dad. They are making a fortune.
So what I want you to take away from this clip is to pay attention to what she's wearing. Does that sweatshirt look familiar? Does that jewelry look familiar? And it looks like she's wearing shorts. So after that scene, further down in the video, we then see them pick back up and we see Big Sur, California, September 17, 2020. Initially, there's nothing really special about this day. I mean, in some cases throughout this docuseries, they didn't put the full date. They would just put the month and the year, like what they did with the New York trip. They want you to know that date. Folks, pay attention to what Meghan is wearing. Have we seen that sweatshirt before? Have we seen that jewelry before? Have we seen those sunglasses before? Now, if you use logic, this looks like this was the same day. And exactly what I had said earlier, they took footage and they chopped it up and spread it out across the episodes. Now, what's interesting here is that they did this in order to manipulate the public into thinking that on September 17, 2020, she announced that she was pregnant. Now, if you do the math, 9 months forward brings you into June. And who came along in June? Allegedly, Lilibet. See, the date can't be September 17, 2020, because she was looking at the skeleton argument in the car, and that was issued on January 14, 2021. So now you have to take a look at what was the weather like in Santa Barbara the week of January 14th. And I'll tell you this, it kind of goes along the lines with what she's wearing, especially, in the height of the day. You're almost up to 70 degrees. She's got blankets in her hand. Looks like maybe the temperature will drop. Highly possible that this was January in Santa Barbara, which now we're going to look at this scene where it was placed earlier in the episode to make you think that Meghan was so stressed out in the months up to before she had this miscarriage.
Awake, unable to sleep, thinking about this case and the wider issues and the toll it was taking.
You see, what they're not telling you is that Meghan was not compliant. She had been ignoring due dates and she had been dragging her feet on giving information. So clearly, as you can see here, it said that it took them 19 requests for information. And then when they finally were able to get information, it was due because the court had ordered her to serve her re-amended reply. And she was delayed by 5 weeks, literally dragging her feet. So November 13 was the deadline, but then she didn't abide by that either and decided November 15th was when she was going to submit all her stuff. So what we're seeing here in that little clip is Meghan hustling to get this stuff done. And interestingly enough, well, one, it's November, and two, there is a wine glass sitting next to her. So what does that tell you? If she was supposed to be pregnant in September, she shouldn't be drinking, right? So I know this is a lot of data, and I really thought I was going to do this last episode in one video, but unfortunately, there's just so many shenanigans going on that this is going to have to be a two-parter. So tomorrow I will finish the rest of the review, but I want to conclude with just reiterating that this is just speculation. There's no evidence or confirmation saying that this is fact, but based off of the information that is publicly available out there on the web, such as those court documents, that has helped me fill in some of the gaps to the content that these two have put out and wanting the world to believe. My opinion is, one, she did not have a miscarriage. Based off of the holes that we poked in that story, that was an excuse to buy time for this court case. Now then, two, this puts into question the validity on was she pregnant in September, and my opinion is that no, she wasn't. And I think this whole thing is a big con and a big scam. Many of you may say, oh, no, it's just a big conspiracy, but no, I'm a realist. Show me evidence otherwise, and I'm open to listen. But the fact that they have failed to show us evidence, maybe they are the conspiracy theorists. Maybe they want to fool the world. Have we thought about that? They live in their own land of make-believe. So could it be possible that they made this up? Absolutely. When you lie this much, people have to question it. So anyhow, what do you guys think? Sorry it took so long to explain this, but I felt it needed to be done. Anyhow, I will be back soon with another review video, but until then, turn on your notification bell buttons. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
I was such a fraud.